Joining me now is the Transport Secretary, Mark Harper. What's going on? Do we have the slightest idea what's caused this chaos?
First of all, Jane, can I just say at the beginning, just to reiterate what Nat said yesterday and apologise, obviously, for all the disruption that's been caused to thousands of people with their journeys yesterday. I know how difficult it is when you're travelling and flights are cancelled and you're put to that annoyance. On the specific issue, there was a technical issue with the flight planning system yesterday morning. It was resolved by early afternoon, but it meant that the system had to resort to a backup system, which absolutely prioritised people being able to fly in and out of Britain safely, but it has a lower capacity than the normal system, and that's what caused the significant number of flight cancellations yesterday and the disruption that's been caused to thousands of people.
But what caused that? I mean, are you ruling out a cyber attack?
So our technical experts have looked at it and are clear that it wasn't a cyber security incident. It was a technical issue yesterday morning. Something on this magnitude will be looked at independently by the Civil Aviation Authority, and there will be a report that comes to me, and we'll look at that very carefully to see whether there are changes that need to be put in place. Something on this scale hasn't happened for almost a decade. Normally the system works very well, and we obviously want to look to see if there's anything we can do to avoid this disruption in the future.
How quickly will you get that report?
So that investigation has already started, and that will come to me, in the next in days. And we'll look at that to see whether there's anything that can be learned for the future. But Nat's worked very hard yesterday to get the system back up and running. But obviously, there's a knock-on effect. Airlines and airports, as we heard from that report, are working very hard to get passengers back to where they need to be as fast as they can.
What about the travellers themselves in terms of compensation? We spoke to a young man who was travelling on Ryanair. Ryanair saying, well, hang on, it wasn't our fault as an airline, therefore we're not going to compensate you. They're stuck out there with no means of getting back to the UK.
So there are clear rights for people, and I tweeted those out yesterday with a link to the CAA website. So airlines do have a responsibility for their passengers to, first of all, if they're delayed, is to accommodate them. If they're stuck overnight, they have to put them up in accommodation. They have to provide them with food and drink, and they also have to make sure they get them back home, either on their own airline or on another one at the earliest available opportunity. So those are things airlines do have to do by law. If they don't do them, people can spend their own money and then claim that back from the airline, and there are clear legal rules there that the CAA will enforce.
OK, so hopefully some of those people that we're speaking to may be able to get the money back, but it's large sums of money. People who haven't got a lot of money to spend are having to fork out.
No, it is, and the airline should proactively look after their customers. The CAA will be reminding them of those responsibilities, and those are clear legal safeguards for people that are in place.
Let's just talk a little bit about ULEZ. It's being expanded to Outer London today. How will the government deal with the fact that there are a lot of cameras that are not working, there are a lot of signs that don't say a charge will be incurred?
Well, look, this scheme is entirely rolling it out across the whole of Greater London. It's a decision for the Mayor of London, backed by the Labour leader. Now, he's been saying...
It was a Conservative idea, though, wasn't it? It was Boris Johnson's idea.
Rolling it out to the whole of Greater London is a decision for this Labour Mayor, and the Conservative candidate for Mayor next year will scrap it. But the Mayor's been saying it's about air quality. It isn't. If you look at his own impact assessment that he commissioned, it says that it will have a minor to negligible effect on air quality in Outer London. This is about raising money, putting in place an infrastructure for what, on his own website, he's talking about his Project 2030 scheme for road user charging, for a pay-per-mile scheme. He's hiring many posts, up to £90,000 a year, for a road user charging scheme to charge people for driving in London.
He has denied that. We spoke to him
it's on his own website.
In the last hour.
It's on his own website.
Yeah, but can I, just point out the fact that, he himself has pointed to the fact that there is a lot of scientific evidence that it will improve air quality, and that there's a lot of scientific evidence which shows that it has improved the air quality significantly in the centre of London. It has worked in the area that it's been trialled.
In the centre of London, it has, but for rolling it out across Greater London, his own impact assessment, so the report that he commissioned, that Transport for London commissioned, says that it will have a minor to negligible effect on air quality in in outer London, which is why it's been so heavily opposed, because people can see it for what it is. It's a scheme to charge hard-pressed motorists more money for making essential journeys, and it will have almost no appreciable impact on air quality. That's what his own report says. It's not me saying that, it's his own report.
Do you personally support it?
No, the government doesn't support it, but I don't have the legal power to block it. It's a decision by the Labour mayor, backed by the Labour leader. I don't have the power to block it. The only person that can block it now is either the mayor doesn't roll it out, or the Labour leader threatens to deselect him if he goes ahead with it, and neither of those things have happened.
Ask you a little bit about housing. We understand that the government's announcing plans today to relax water pollution rules to help encourage house building. Are the Conservatives abandoning green policies in order to meet housing targets?
No, the scheme today is about making sure we can build up to 100,000 houses using the new freedoms we have now that we're outside the European Union. But you'll know we set out a little while ago important new targets for water companies and a big investment programme that they're going to be making to clean up sewage discharges. We've also got over £200 million to help farmers with agricultural runoff to improve water quality. This announcement today is about making sure we can build 100,000 up to 100,000 new homes to make sure that people have the homes that they want to live in. But we've got important rules to make sure that we continue to improve the water standards in our rivers across the country.
But at the moment, when it comes to building these houses, there are lots of rules about what can and what cannot be discharged into the waterways and the levels that the house building affects. My understanding is it's going to go from being something that you can't do to something that you can do. So it is relaxing the rules, and it will mean that there are more pollutants going into the waterways.
No, we're going to make sure that any of these schemes... First of all, we've improved the rules about water quality generally. I've set those out, both for farmers and also improving the water companies have to do. Those are big investments that are going to take place. But on this specific thing, there are going to be mitigations that are put in place, help to be funded by developers, that make sure that we continue to improve water quality, but we can build the houses as required to make sure young people can get on the housing ladder. It sounds like you're passing on the
responsibility for the water quality to the developers.
No, it's about making sure that if you build those houses, you deal with any issues. What you don't do is block building houses across large parts of the country because of outdated, unnecessary European Union legislation.
Over the weekend, Nadine Dorries finally resigned. She wrote a pretty stinging letter, didn't she, to the Prime Minister. I mean, do you feel you're part of what she described as a zombie government?
No, I don't. Look, I don't agree with what she said in her letter at all. I think it's welcome that the people of her constituency can now elect a new Member of Parliament. We've got a fantastic candidate in Festus. He's the Police and Crime Commissioner. I've been out on the doorsteps myself there. He's well known, he's well liked and respected, and I think he'll make a fantastic Member of Parliament. But look, midterm by-elections are tough, but we'll be fighting for every vote, and I hope we'll get a good result.
The Lib Dems and the Labour are both very confident as well that they're going to get a good result there. How catastrophic for Rishi Sunak would it be if he didn't manage to hold on to it?
Well, look, midterm by-elections are always difficult for governments. You know, we know that. We know that from the ones we had in July. They're always difficult. We'll be working incredibly hard. But I know we've got a fantastic candidate there. He's already holds elective office. He's popular, he's well known, and he works very hard for the community there. And I hope he'll be elected and he'll make a fantastic Member of Parliament.
OK, Mark Harper.
Thank you.
Transport Secretary, thanks for coming in.